You don't lose a woman the moment she meets another guy. You lose her the moment she stops feeling emotionally invested in you and starts finding that energy somewhere else. And most men miss the signs completely. Not because they're stupid, but because their ego refuses to accept what their intuition already knows. Let's talk about the 5 signs she's talking to another guy. Not guessing. Not paranoia. Patterns. Real behavioral shifts that show up when attention, curiosity, and emotional energy start moving somewhere else. First sign, her phone suddenly has boundaries. Something subtle changes. She used to leave her phone on the table. Now it's always face down. She used to text freely in front of you. Now she angles the screen away. Notifications appear, and she clears them immediately. You ask who texted. Just a friend. Short answer. Conversation closed. Here's the psychological reality most men avoid. When someone starts forming a new emotional connection, the brain releases dopamine. Novelty creates excitement. And secrecy protects that new source of stimulation. It's not always physical cheating. But emotionally, the door has opened. Women often bond through conversation and emotional validation. When that begins with someone new, the nervous system starts associating safety and excitement with that person. That's why the phone becomes guarded. It's not about privacy. It's about protecting the new emotional channel. And the hard truth? If you feel the need to check her phone, the relationship has already entered a trust deficit. Healthy attraction doesn't require surveillance. Second sign, her attention feels split. You're talking, but she's not fully there. Her responses feel delayed. Her mind seems somewhere else. You notice something strange: when you text, she replies hours later. But when she's with her phone, she's constantly typing. Not to you. The psychology here is simple but brutal. Attention follows emotional investment. When someone is developing curiosity toward another person, the brain starts prioritizing that interaction. Conversations feel new, unpredictable, stimulating. And compared to novelty, familiarity often loses. This is where many men make a critical mistake. They chase harder. More texts, more calls, more reassurance. But chasing increases the power imbalance. It signals anxiety. And anxiety kills attraction faster than competition does. When someone senses emotional dependency, their nervous system doesn't feel excitement. It feels pressure. Third sign, she becomes emotionally neutral toward you. This one hurts the most because it's quiet. She's not fighting. She's not complaining. She's just neutral. You tell a story. She nods. You share something exciting. She says, "That's nice." There's no emotional spark. No curiosity. No real engagement. This emotional flattening happens when someone begins regulating their emotional needs outside the relationship. If another guy is providing attention, validation, or excitement, her nervous system stops relying on you for those things. The connection doesn't collapse dramatically. It fades. And the male brain struggles with this because men often look for visible conflict as a signal something is wrong. But women frequently detach internally first. By the time a man notices, the emotional shift happened weeks ago. Fourth sign, she mentions another guy casually. It sounds innocent. "Yeah, my coworker said the same thing." "Oh, this guy from my gym recommended that." She drops his name casually. Sometimes repeatedly. And you're supposed to act like it means nothing. Here's what's actually happening psychologically. When someone new enters the emotional orbit, the brain begins integrating them into everyday thought patterns. That's why their name slips into conversation. Not always consciously, but consistently. Sometimes it's also a subtle test. Women often observe male reactions to gauge confidence and emotional stability. If you become jealous, interrogative, or defensive, it signals insecurity. But pretending you don't notice at all isn't strength either. The deeper point is this: if another man is occupying mental space in her daily life, it means emotional attention is already shifting. And attention is the currency of attraction. Fifth sign, she starts pulling away physically. Touch changes. Affection becomes rare. She sits further away. Hugs feel brief. Mechanical. The chemistry that once felt natural now feels forced. This isn't random. Physical closeness is deeply tied to emotional safety and attraction polarity. When a woman's emotional focus starts redirecting elsewhere, her nervous system often reduces physical intimacy with the current partner. Not always consciously, but instinctively. Because intimacy requires emotional alignment. And when that alignment weakens, the body follows. Many men interpret this as stress, mood swings, or temporary distance. Sometimes it is. But when it appears alongside the other patterns we discussed, it usually signals something deeper. A shift in emotional attachment. Now here's the part most men don't want to hear. The real problem isn't the other guy. The real problem is denial. When men sense something changing, they often react with one of two extremes. They either chase harder, or they ignore reality completely. Both responses come from the same place: fear of abandonment. But attraction doesn't grow inside fear. It grows inside emotional stability. The moment a man starts trying to control outcomes, monitor behavior, or compete for attention, he loses the very thing that created attraction in the first place: self-possession. And here's the deeper truth about male-female dynamics. Women are highly sensitive to emotional energy. Not words. Not promises. Energy. If you become anxious, reactive, and desperate for reassurance, her nervous system interprets that as instability. But when a man remains grounded, observant, and emotionally self-contained, the dynamic changes completely. Not because he's playing games, but because he's no longer abandoning himself to keep someone else. And that shift is powerful, because attraction thrives where self-respect exists. So if you recognize these signs, don't panic. Don't interrogate. And definitely don't beg for reassurance. Observe. Adjust your behavior. Reinvest your energy into your own life, purpose, and stability. Because the most unattractive position a man can take is competing for attention in his own relationship. And the strongest position he can take is being willing to walk away from anything that requires him to.